Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today we're going to be reviewing the Kansept Hellx, designed by Mikkel Williamson. I am still in the search for a permanent filming location. I've got something pretty good set up here. You guys can let me know in the comments below what you think. Yeah, finding a filming location is hard. I've got to find a place that has good sound, good lighting, and I've thought a couple of times about, soundproofing an area, building kind of a little a filming location, but I move around so much with work and school that it just would be a little bit odd. So right now we're trying something new. I'm doing something a little bit different with my equipment, and yeah, you guys can let me know what you think. But we're trying to get back to the regular way I used to do things. Let's start off this review with a blade length measurement. We are coming in, if you measure all the way back here, pretty darn near 4 inches. This is a big knife. I think officially the blade length is labeled as 3.8 in most places, but it is a very, very large knife, lengthwise and kind of height-wise as well. Let's go ahead and look at the overall length of this knife. You see we're coming in pretty close to 9 inches. I hope this is working out all right. Experimenting, guys. You get to experiment with me. Hopefully we'll get a couple videos filmed in this location before I change things up again. Lighting's not quite ideal, but alrighty, let's do our size comparisons. Let's start off, as always, you guys know what it is. There's our Rat 2, and here's a Rat 1. So very similar in length to the Rat 1, but quite a bit chunkier, as we can see there. This is a pretty chunky knife. I like Mikkel Williamson's kind of design language, and we'll talk about that more later, but yeah, it looks very much like it's very recognizable as one of his knives. Next up, here's a Benchmade Bug Out, and the Spyderco PM2. There we go. And last but not least, let's bring out the Civivi Praxis, and let's bring it. Whoa, what did I drop on the ground? Everything. And here's the Civivi Elementum. All right, cool stuff. Get these put away. So, in terms of materials, what are we looking at here? Well, this knife comes in a couple of different price tiers. This is one of the premium versions with S35VN blade steel and titanium scales. As you can see, it is a titanium frame lock. The blade is a kind of interesting tanto. As you can see there, it's kind of a gentle tanto. I have stropped this edge, and sorry about that. Focus in here, and that tanto is already going away. I have not done a full-on sharpening, but with the stropping, that tanto's gone away already. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get to the cutting footage. Alright, let's do some cutting, shall we? Still trying to figure out how I want this to work, but what we're talking about right now is the Kansept Knives Hellx, Mikkel Williamson design. Gorgeous, gorgeous knife. Doesn't that just look sexy? I know it does. So, let's talk about that action first. The detent is not the strongest. It's actually pretty light detent. It's so light that I can flick it out with my finger. That was a bad flick, but yeah, you can flick it out like that. Makes a nice little ting. Hope that comes across. So even though the detent is on the lighter side, they did this flipper tab perfectly. It's a small flipper tab, but it's positioned way higher than the pivot, and you have this nice little scoop. Good jimping on there. Tons and tons of leverage. Also, I'm sorry I look like a mess today. It's 7:30 in the evening. Had a long day at work, then I came home and had to do physics because science is easy. So, and also I think I'm wearing very similar clothes to what I wore last time I did some filming. I hope you guys don't think I just wear the same clothes every day. It's just, I have a lot of clothes that are just the same. I like nondescript shirts that have logos or anything, so I buy a ton of them. But anyways, how does it carry? So we have a really interesting pocket clip here. It's a mill titanium clip, but it's a deep carry clip. It's a little ball attachment thing. And let's tilt this down for just a sec. It feels a little bit sharp going into the pocket, but you know what? It works pretty well. Holds a knife there. It's a big knife, but it holds in there pretty well. And yeah, it will probably tear up your pants eventually with that little ball, but most pocket clips do that anyways. How are the ergonomics? Mikkel Williamson is really good with his ergonomics. You have this grip here, very nice jimping on top. Excellent, excellent jimping. The knife fits really good in your hand like this, but you have a big area here that you can choke up into for even more precision and control, and just feels really, really good. The knife kind of slopes in a way that's pleasing to your hand, and yeah, overall, not very many complaints. So let's go ahead and do some cutting. We have a gentle Tonto, is what I think a lot of places have been calling this, blade made out of S35VN, flat grind. Thinness behind the edge came down to between 17 and 15 thousandths. I was absolutely blown away. I had to take my measurements like 3 or 4 times because I couldn't believe it was that good. But it is, and the blade stock isn't overly thick. It's sturdy, but it's not overly thick, and the knife does perform really well. So let's go ahead and grab our stuff here, and let's realign, shall we? Yeah, this will work, maybe. I don't know, guys. I need to find a better place to do all this stuff. Let's go ahead and start with our cardboard. So the knife itself slices very well because of that geometry, but also the leverage you get because of those ergos really, really makes your cuts a lot more powerful. Oops. Where's the end of my rope here? There it is. Okay, come out of there. I'll pick those up in a second. Pretty good pull through there. Not too shabby. Let's go ahead and do some, just push down on it. Okay. Okay, that did fairly well, but quite a bit less impressive than I was expecting with kind of this Tonto shape and that pushing, but it does stay pretty thin out here towards the tip, so that's maybe why it didn't crunch through that as readily as I thought it might. All right, let's go ahead and do our pool noodle. Very nice and clean. The geometry felt really smooth coming through there. Oh yeah, look at that thin little noodle. Okay, I maybe tried to go a little too thin than the blade could do, but it kind of sort of did it. I'm happy with those results. Alrighty. What do you guys think? A little more similar to what we like to see on this channel. We got a couple of rocks, some dinosaurs out here. You know, we got some cool stuff going on. But anyways, let's get into this knife. And before we get into the review, I have to say how I got this. So my good buddy Mike over at Sharpen Blade won a giveaway that Mild Mannered EDC did on Instagram. And Mike's from Canada. And he, I guess he was worried about this coming across the border. He reached out to me. He said, hey, would you like to have this knife? And super generous. Just, he's a great friend. But I told him, the interesting is actually he asked me, well, he said, hey, have you ever tried out the Kansept Hellx? And I said, well, that's a long story. I ordered one. I ordered one of the budget versions, and it was delivered to my apartment while I was at work. And they left it on the doorstep, and when I got back, it had been stolen. The package had been stolen. And so I told him that story, and he said, oh, well, great, because I was going to ask you if you wanted another one. And, you know, it's the premium version, not the budget version. So he sent that over. Super, super generous of him, but I got to give him and Mild Manner EDC a shout out for this video. Yeah. If you saw the unboxing for this knife way back in December, then you knew the story, but I had to tell it again, so here we are. And I will also mention that this year, in fact, I saw just a couple weeks ago, Kansept has released a mini version of this knife, or at least a smaller version, so that's pretty cool. But without any further yammering and ado, let's go ahead and get into this knife. What am I liking? What am I not liking? Well, number one, I love the look. I love this design. Mikkel Wilhelmsen has a design that really speaks to me. He designs kind of blocky, but in an elegant way. I'm not sure exactly how to describe it, but kind of tactical, hard-use looking knives. And yeah, this definitely fits in that category. And yeah, I just love the way it looks. Next thing, the jimping here is absolutely excellent. Look at that. And the best thing about it is if I'm back here, I can get to that jimping. If I choke up, I can still get to that jimping. So something a lot of companies do is they don't put enough jimping on the back of their knives. You know, you run out of, let's bring out the rat for an example. You know, there's 4 little jimps there, and it's fine right here. But, you know, and also, I mean, the rat has a little bit of a thumb riser, but maybe that was a bad example to bring out. But anyways, you get what I'm trying to say. So I really do like the jimping. The texture is good. The distance along the blade is good. And yeah, really, really nice. Next thing, the ergonomics are really good. Whether you're choked back here, excuse my hands, they're going to be all cut up and bruised and dirty because I'm working in the woods again. So I'm going to have to put up with calloused and dirty Gideon hands. But right here, really, really comfortable. Very, very good grip. And then you have this very, very nice choil here that you can get into. And yeah, this just gives you all the control in the world. This grip here makes this very wide, almost 4-inch long blade feel very manageable. And yeah, that's awesome. I like seeing that. Next thing I like the blade shape. Now, as I was saying, a lot of places kind of list this as a gentle tanto, or I've heard people refer to it as a gentle tanto. And as I said, I haven't done a full sharpening on this knife, but I've done some stropping, and there's a couple places there that I need to... this knife probably is due in for a sharpening. Let's focus on that. Focus. Yeah, probably is due for a sharpening. That's still fairly sharp, but yeah, probably needs a sharpening. When I sharpen it, that tanto tip is going to go away. I bet I could probably keep it there if I tried hard enough, but I'm just going to sharpen that away, and this will become a really nice drop point. I like all the swedging that's going on here. Very good. Again, guys, we're experimenting together, seeing how this new setup works, but really, really nice. The blade stock isn't overly thick, which is kind of surprising, seeing the profile of this blade. We can compare that to the rat, and they're about equal. And then the thinness behind the edge on this knife really surprised me. I think 17 thousandths is what I measured. I said so in the cutting footage what it really was, but I could not believe that it was that thin. But it does cut like it. This is a flat grind, so it will thicken up as you sharpen it, but this knife cuts really well. Since the blade's not that thick, it passes the material really, really well. And those ergonomics that you get with this really well-designed handle really help you to just glide through material. So that's really, really cool. Next thing, the action is good. Really good, actually. The detent is fairly light, which, I can reverse flick the knife using the blade, but that light detent allows it to be very, smooth on the close, and it doesn't really affect the flipping action because they did such a good job with this flipper tab. Super high above the pivot. You have this little scoop that leads into it, and bang, all the leverage in the world. This is something that I'm always talking about. If you design your flipper tab right, your knife will, you can improve the action of your knife by magnitudes. It really does go a long way to have a nice area that leads into your flipper tab, just like that. You see that little scooped out area leading right into the flipper tab. And even though this is a tiny flipper tab, they put jimping on it, and it's fairly good jimping. But the biggest thing is that position in relation to the pivot. I mean, you have so much leverage with this knife that it's very hard to fail it. I failed it there. I mean, again, the detent's pretty light, but because of that leverage, yeah, you can flick it out 100% reliably every time. The knife makes all the good frame locky noises that you expect. Very, very nice. And yeah, really, really good stuff there. Very, very good. Next thing, this pocket clip is really interesting, and I really like it. It's a deep carry titanium pocket clip, which is not something you see all the time. And, it might be a little bit flimsy, might be a little bit weak, but, I kind of like that they managed to make this huge frame lock knife deep carry. That's kind of interesting. The clip itself works okay. The spring is good. That little ball there, usually I'm not the biggest fan of clips that do that, but this one doesn't. It's not horrible. It works pretty good, so I'm not going to complain. Next thing, centering is pretty much dead on. Lockup is rock solid. We'll talk a little bit about some stuff related to that in a minute. Access to the lock bar, we'll talk about in a second. Next thing, I probably should put this in the aesthetics, but I love this backspacer. I'm a sucker for backspacers. I'm a sucker for long backspacers. And this one is... Focus, camera. There we go. This one is nearly a full-length backspacer. I love the grooves set in there. I didn't really notice them, contributing too much to the ergonomics, but as kind of a aesthetic feature... Yeah, they worked pretty great. And the last thing I like is the fact that there's several different versions of this knife offered. Not only do you have the smaller ones now, but you have versions of this knife in both a premium and more budget-friendly territories. And that's really awesome because this is a great design. And I'm glad that I have this premium version. There's a lot that I like about this. But, I'm probably going to get a budget version of the small one. In fact, I think they only have budget versions of the small one so far. Correct me if I'm wrong. But, it just makes a great design more accessible to more people. And that is really, really cool. I really like this version of the knife for a couple of reasons. Number one, I really, really like what they did with this titanium here. If we look at this, it's basically a flat slab, but they have chamfers that go around the edges like that. Which is really, really nice. They have this little area here that's carved down. It's nice. And then I like this black and kind of natural titanium look. In honesty, it reminds me of what a feldspar crystal looks like under a petrographic microscope. And yes, I know, geology nerd. I'll throw up some pictures of some feldspar crystals, and you guys tell me. Right? You can see the similarity, huh? You know, you can see what I'm getting at. That's the twinning. We call that is the twinning, where it has the one darker side and lighter side that meet like that. But that's beside the point. That's not important to the review right now. But yeah, just a lot of things about this knife really make me smile. I mean, how the blade meets up with this perfectly. The way that, I mean, it's super comfortable, guys. Like, it is super comfortable. This is a great work knife, and I've put this to work. I'm not sure if you can tell. We'll talk a little bit about the blade, but I've been using this for a long time. Heck, I've had this knife for like 6 months, and I've been using it and loving it, and it's just a very, very good usable knife. I love S35VN blade steel. I should mention that when I was talking about the blade. S35VN is one of my favorite steels. In fact, I personally prefer it over things like 20CV. I know I'm kind of in the minority there, but you know, that's something that I like. Alrighty, before we move on to the dislikes, well, I mention Kaiser sends these nice little pouches, or Kansept, not Kaiser. Uh-oh. I'm gonna get in trouble for that slip. But that slip, I'm talking about slips. I get distracted so easily. Anyway, they come with these nice little pouches, and yeah, these are kind of cool. Put your knife in there, and there it be. So, yeah, I like that a whole lot. I also like the Kansept logo. Focus. Still got some kinks to work out. But, yeah, and you can see some of the love marks on this titanium. But, okay. All right. Now let's talk about what I don't like. Alrighty. The first thing that I don't like, we gotta mention it, we gotta bring it up, is the hardware. So there is minimal hardware. As you can see, there's just 3 screws, basically, pivot and then 2 body screws, which is cool, and they're all the same size, which is awesome. I count that as your positives. However, the thing I don't like is that the pivot is free spinning. I did have to adjust this knife, and I went to take it apart because I got this knife pretty dirty and stuff. I realized that was free spinning, and that's just never a good thing. It makes maintaining your knife difficult because, you know, if you get a little bit of blade play or something, you just want to tighten up your pivot, it just can get frustrating. It's something that really shouldn't be a thing in the knife world anymore. But luckily, it is tooled on both sides, so if you got 2 drivers, you just pop, stick them both in there, and you're good to go, which is what I did. So yeah, definitely a complaint, but you know, it's something you can overcome. Next thing, I will mention this just because it happened, but I did have a lock slip on this knife. However, I don't hold it against this knife because I was doing some pretty dumb stuff. This knife, it's big and it's kind of grrr and stuff, but you know, you guys know me. I like to have fun sometimes. So I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if I took videos of this or not. Gosh, it was months ago, but I probably include video someplace in this review of me chopping up water bottles and various fruit and stuff with this knife. And so that was something I did just because, you know, big knife, grrr, I want to have fun. And at one point I chopped down and the lock bar did slide over. And that gave me cause for concern, so I went inside, took the knife apart, cleaned it up completely, you know, alcohol, the whole 9 yards, you know, cleaned off the lock bar face, you know, gave it a good cleaning, put back together, and then I haven't had any other issues with this knife having any kind of slippage or failures or things like that. So, you know, it happens, so I have to mention it, but I don't, you know, I was doing dumb stuff. And also, you know, never underestimate what a good cleaning will do for your knife. Like, a good cleaning can fix pretty much everything. You know, it might have just been something, bump my camera. It might have just been something as simple as while I was being stupid with it, you know, a piece of dirt got in here and interfered with the lockup and caused the lock bar to slip. So I don't think it was, you know, a malfunction of the knife. But yeah, it happened, so I have to mention it. Next thing, talking about the lock bar. Look at that. That's just hideous. It's hideous. Look at that big gap. And oh, look, at least you can tell there's an over travel stop. But, you know, and then we get up close here. And I really don't like this little thing that swoops over there. Oh, there's the name, by the way. See, Hellx, not Helix. Focus. Hellx. So, there's that. And then Mikkel Williamson. So, there, should have showed that off first. But, yeah, this weird little hooky thing, I don't know. To me, it just seems like a good way for gunk and stuff to get in there to your knife. You can see here the edge is exposed right there. So if you're carrying this in your pocket and, I don't know, a penny or something jumps up and gets down in there and wiggles around, nickel or something, you could damage your edge a little bit. So that's not great, but mainly it just looks kind of disgusting. it just beautiful, sleek, elegant, and then the abyss. So, that's definitely not something that I'm super thrilled about, especially on a knife of this price. You want to know how to do a really good lock bar cutout? Here. This $50 Kershaw Highball has an absolutely fantastic lock bar. Look at that. Look at that. Whoo, boy, isn't that beautiful? So fine and precise. It's like the blocks of the pyramids fit together with precision. And so that looks a lot better in my opinion. I mean, come on, look. Compare. Yeah. Next thing, having this knife be this kind of a Tonto is kind of cool, but also, why? Because it's like a Tonto, but not a Tonto. So, I don't know. Like I said, you could probably sharpen this in such a way that you keep that tip there for a while, but as soon as I give this one good sharpening, that's going to be gone. And I'm not upset about that. I like drop points, and a big belly there will be pretty nice. But, people who are big Tonto fans, they might be a little bit upset at that. I'm not sure. Next thing, this gray coating on the blade is okay. It did, while I was using this knife, it took some, scratches and stuff, which I don't really mind. Focus, camera. Some scratches and scuffs that just won't come out. And I don't really mind that. I don't mind my knife getting love marks, but some people might. And the titanium is the same way, not like Chris Reeve snail trails, but definitely like nicks and smudges and scratches and stuff. Personally, and this is just me, I would prefer just a classy stonewash instead of this gray coating, but, that's just me. And, yeah. Alrighty, next thing, access to the lock bar is not the best. They tried. They definitely did try. They gave you a little bit of a scoop out milled in there. So, round of applause for trying. But if we look at it like this, yeah, there's pretty much no access there. And it's like, again, I've been carrying this knife and using this knife on and off for about 6 months. So I've gotten used to it, but it definitely did take some getting used to, just the right angle, get your thumb in there. And if you're using this with gloves, forget about it. It's just not going to happen. It's not the best. But, yeah, there we go. And the last thing I want to address is this lanyard hole. I don't know. For me, something about this lanyard hole I'm not sure how it would. It just seems like if you were to put a lanyard here, these are fairly thick handles. It might, I don't know, I just couldn't picture this knife with a lanyard. It'd just be a big hulk of, that'd be a big bunch of stuff back there. But, maybe lanyard people think otherwise. So, let's go ahead and get into my final conclusions. So, this is one of those videos where, there was kind of equal complaints with likes for me. But, honestly, a lot of my complaints with this knife don't really matter that much to me. That's one of the interesting things about being a reviewer, is because I'm not only reviewing this knife from my perspective, but I'm trying to look at it objectively as well. And objectively, the access to the lock bar is not that great, but I adjusted to it, and it's okay to me now, you know? Objectively, the free spinning pivot is not good, but I can live with it. I'm not saying that it's okay? No, knife companies out there, no more free spinning pivots. But what I'm saying is, you know, I can live with it. And so with this knife, do I recommend it or not? I like this knife a whole bunch. And granted, I like Mikkel Williamson's design language. Plus, this knife has a lot of sentimental value to me because it was given to me by a friend. And, you know, maybe a lot of that impacts the way I feel about it. But objectively, this knife has fantastic ergos. The blade is a performer for sure. And, yeah, it'll get work done. So I can absolutely recommend this knife. If you're in love with the design, absolutely pick one up. And if you're not sure about it, you can buy one of the budget ones, you know, and test it out and see what you like. And if you don't like it, you're not out that much money. This knife, I really do enjoy a lot, and I can recommend it. However, if it's not your thing, if it's too big, you know, I didn't really talk about this because I don't usually talk about this, but this knife, you know, it is definitely wide in your pocket. It's a little bit chunky. Not the chunkiest thing out there, but it's a little chunky. And it's got a little bit of weight to it. You know, if it's a little bit too big for you, if you just don't like the looks, there are definitely other titanium frame locks out there that you can get. You know, I don't think this one is reinventing the wheel. It's not doing anything that another knife couldn't do. But I really do like it. I like the design. And I do think this blade is really, really excellent, to be honest with you. It is really excellent. And yeah, there's a lot here. There's a lot here to like. And honestly, if you want to buy one, it is up to you. These versions here that you see before you in my hands, the premium versions run about $200. And the budget versions are about $55, I believe. And then I'm not sure how expensive the smaller versions are, but Gideon, stop hitting stuff. But the budget ones, D2 steel, G10 and steel handles, and yeah, they look really, really cool. They've got brighter colors than the fancy ones. Like I said, I like this design a lot. When I saw they were coming out with a smaller version, I was kind of like, yes, please. So I'll probably get a very colorful smaller one. But yeah, there's a review of this knife. I like it a lot. If you like what you see, I don't think you'll be disappointed if you pick one up. It's a good knife. Great ergonomics, good blade, and yeah, those are kind of the highlights, the ergonomics and the blade. But that's gonna be it for today, guys. I've been Gideon. Don't forget to like or dislike, comment below, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.